Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Premier. Last week, we revealed a leaked cabinet document showing that skyrocketing hydro prices were going to be back to normal in Ontario. Hydro bills will hit a record high in 2024, and then in 2028, the average bill will hit well over $200. Wow. Those families already faced with a ridiculously high hydro bill will see it jump another 6.5% and 10.5% in 2028. Hydro rates will be higher than they've ever been before. Mr. Speaker, why does this government refuse to actually fix the structural problems in hydro? It's about time they actually act on hydro, not simply a farce.
Member from Glengarry, Prescott Russell will come to order. Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I know that the member opposite knows that he's referring to a document that is out of date, Mr. Speaker. It's a document that was part of the deliberation as we developed our Fair Hydro Plan, Mr. Speaker. And you know, the reality is, as a plan is developed, and it may be.
The member from Leeds Grenville will come to order. And by the sounds of it, I may have to move to warnings, and I will do so real quick if called upon. Premier.
Mr. Speaker, as a plan is developed, there is much input, and there are many.
Premier.
Mr. Speaker, there are many iterations of options and information that come forward in the development of a plan. We want an Ontario with an even playing field, Mr. Speaker. Our Fair Hydro Plan is about moving in that direction, creating a fairer Ontario where people have the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, all Ontarians to achieve equally, and so taking 25% off all the electricity bills of residents in this province, Mr. Speaker, from the residential bills. That is the fair thing to do, and that's what our plan is.
Mr. Speaker, again to the Premier. So the Premier's defence is the document was out of date. We're talking about just a few months ago. 2017 is out of date. The only thing out of date is this government. How in touch they are with the population of Ontario. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Liberal press secretary called these leaked cabinet documents on energy false and inaccurate. Now the new speaking point is out of date. The Minister of Energy said he's seen thousands of graphs, so he couldn't comment on the leaked cabinet document. Well, if he can't comment on that recent document, will the Premier pledge here today to show us a graph, a recent graph that will actually show hydro rates going down? That would be wonderful, Mr. Speaker.
A document can be false and out of date at the same time because it is not the document on which our plan is built. It was part of the process of developing our plan. But, Mr. Speaker, you know, when I talk about a fair Ontario, I talk about an Ontario where people have the opportunity to live out their dreams. And, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that we have wonderful institutions in this province. We have a wonderful healthcare system. We have a wonderful publicly funded education system, Mr. Speaker. They are strong. They have been built up over the last number of years, Mr. Speaker, and we intend to keep them that way. But, Mr. Speaker, there are people in this province, even though our economy is doing very well, there are people who are not sharing in that. So our budget, Mr. Speaker, is about addressing those concerns. Mr. Speaker, we recognize that it is the first balanced budget in a decade, in nearly a decade in Ontario. We have the opportunity now to invest in people and make sure that that playing field is more level.
Final supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, again to the Premier, and my question was, given the recent cabinet document says hydro rates are going to go out of control again, and that's their graph, my question was, will the Premier commit to showing a new document that shows hydro rates actually going down? You know, this Fair Hydro Plan is a boring plan. It kicks the can down the road. It does nothing on reining in executive salaries. It does nothing on these bad contracts. It does nothing on the water power we're spilling every day. It does nothing on the hydro we're giving to free to Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York. It's not a plan. It's a re-election gimmick. So when will the Premier actually show us a hydro plan with hydro rates going down?